Okay, you can call 911 through the video relay service. Like used to back then, if there was an emergency, they couldn't just run to a payphone and try to call anybody. But now with technology, as long as they have a smartphone, they can call 911 from their smartphone device instead of them having to track somebody down and make a phone call for them. So it's nice for them to be able to have that freedom to do their own thing, especially if it's an emergency. A lot of people don't realize that TTYs, which is that teletyping device, or TDD, which is the telecommunications device for the deaf, that's pretty much becoming obsolete. And there's a lot of people that don't realize that because, I don't know, they still exist, but they're very rarely used. And just think of it as being an old-fashioned way to communicate. Remember back then when we had our pagers? Well, y'all are young, but you know, when we had our pagers instead of our cell phones. Mm-hmm. So it's not the same. So here on your pager, you have a pickup, call, whatever it is, and then same idea or concept for people with a TTY and a video phone. So instead of them having to type everything, they could just pick up the phone and call straight through an interpreter if they needed to. So yeah, technology's definitely changed the way of their communication styles and just everything. And again, it goes back to giving them a sense of freedom and equal access. They're able to communicate with their loved ones, which is always a bonus. And because, believe it or not, there is a lot of deaf people's family that do not know how to use sign language and they don't know how to communicate with them. And even if they were to write back and forth, they get frustrated with each other because they don't really understand each other. And now that the video phones have come out for the video relay service, it gives them that opportunity to connect with their families again and to communicate with them. And it's just changed their world. It's still in the making of how it's impacting a lot of other people. And then another thing, whenever you're talking through the video phone to a video relay service, through an interpreter basically, is that whenever you're talking to the person, you're going to talk to that person directly, as if you're talking directly to them. You're not going to say, well, tell him that I said, or tell her that I said. Just say, hey, what are you doing today? How have you been? You know, just talk to them as if you're talking to the person, because you have to remember that the interpreter is interpreting everything that you're saying. So that kind of confuses the message when you have a deaf consumer calling and this person's saying, well, tell him that I said hello. So the interpreter's saying, tell him that I said hello. Deaf person's like, tell who? Me? You know, so that kind of throws things off. Yeah. So of course, you know, that's another thing that we have to continue to educate others about. I mean, it's a work in progress, because to some people this is fairly new. And how that works is the interpreter and the deaf consumer, they can see each other on TV screens. The interpreter has a headset where they can hear the hearing caller when they call out, and the deaf person is on the TV screen, and that's how they communicate, and that's where the interpretation goes about. It's even neat because even deaf children, you know, there's even kids out there. It's not just adults when we think deaf people. I mean, there's children that are as young as 3 or 4, and they're very great at their sign language skill. It just depends on how well that they're involved with the family. You know, the family's involved with that child, but sometimes their level is just so high to where they can actually make a phone call and call grandma and say hi. You know, so that's a pretty neat thing. So basically, having an effective way of communicating with others just really does make a difference, and that's why I chose to celebrate video phones. And that's it. Any questions?
Yes. So, who paid for the video phone service? Who paid for that?
See, the FCC, they're pretty much part of that. As far as for everybody, actually, we all do. Everybody that pays for our phone bill, we all do. Whenever